Have you ever wondered what it takes to conquer the known world before you even turn 33? To be a king, a general, a visionary, and a legend, all rolled into one? Today, we are rediving deep into the extraordinary life of one of history's most iconic figures, Alexander the Great. A man whose ambition knew no bounds and whose legacy still echoes through the corridors of time. Born in 356 BC in the Kingdom of Macedon, young Alexander was no ordinary prince. Imagine having one of the greatest minds in history as your personal tutor. From the age of 13, Alexander was schooled by none other than the philosopher Aristotle. This wasn't just about reading and writing. Aristotle instilled in him a love for philosophy, medicine, science, and literature. He taught Alexander to think critically, to analyze, and to understand the world around him. This unique education forged a mind that was as sharp as the swords his soldiers would one day wield. Aristotle didn't just teach him facts, he taught him how to think like a conqueror, a ruler, and a leader of men. This foundation would prove crucial, shaping the boy who would become a king, and the king who would become a legend. Tragedy struck when Alexander was just 20 years old. His father, King Philip II, a brilliant military strategist who had united Greece under Macedonian rule, was assassinated. The throne was suddenly empty, and the kingdom was in turmoil. But Alexander didn't hesitate. He acted with lightning speed and ruthless efficiency, securing his claim to the throne. He swiftly dealt with rivals and crushed rebellions that flared up in Greece, proving that he was not just his father's son, but a formidable force in his own right. With his power consolidated at home, Alexander turned his gaze eastward. He inherited his father's grandest ambition, the conquest of the mighty Persian Empire, the superpower of the ancient world. It was a dream that seemed impossible, a challenge that would have daunted any other man. But for Alexander, it was just the beginning. With a relatively small but highly disciplined army, Dana crossed the Hellespont into Asia Minor in 334 BC. This was the start of one of the most audacious and successful military campaigns in human history. What followed was a whirlwind of battles, each one a testament to his tactical genius. At the Battle of the Granicus, he charged headfirst into the enemy lines. At Issus, he faced the massive army of the Persian king, Darius III, and brilliantly outmaneuvered him, causing Darius to flee the battlefield in disgrace. He then marched south, laying siege to the seemingly impregnable island city of Tyre for 7 months, eventually building a causeway to breach its walls. From there, he entered Egypt, where he was welcomed not as a conqueror, but as a liberator. The Egyptians crowned him pharaoh and declared him a son of the god Amen. It was here, at the mouth of the Nile, that he founded the first and most famous of his many cities, Alexandria, destined to become a beacon of learning and culture for centuries. Alexander's military record is, frankly, unbelievable. He'd never lost a single battle. Think about that for a moment. From the plains of Greece to the mountains of Afghanistan, he faced diverse armies, different terrains, seemingly impossible odds, yet he always emerged victorious. His strategy was a potent mix of speed, surprise, and innovative tactics. He perfected the use of the Macedonian phalanx, a tight formation of soldiers with long spears called sarissas, and combined it with devastating cavalry charges led by himself. He was not a general who commanded from the rear. Alexander fought alongside his men, sharing their dangers and earning their unwavering loyalty. This personal bravery inspired his soldiers to perform incredible feats. His final major confrontation with Darius III came at the Battle of Gaugamela. Despite being heavily outnumbered, Alexander's tactical brilliance won the day, shattering the Persian army and sending Darius fleeing once more. This victory effectively sealed the fate of the Persian Empire. Alexander marched into Babylon and then Persepolis, the ceremonial capital of Persia, claiming its immense treasures and declaring himself the new king of Asia. But Alexander wasn't just a conqueror, he was also a visionary. He dreamed of a world where Greek and Persian cultures could merge, creating something new and vibrant. He encouraged his soldiers to marry Persian women, and even did so himself, taking Roxana, a Bactrian noblewoman, as his wife. He adopted elements of Persian dress and court customs, much to the dismay of some of his more traditional Macedonian generals. He saw the value in blending the strengths of both civilizations. This policy of fusion was a cornerstone of his empire building. He founded over 70 cities, many of which he named Alexandria, strategically placing them along trade routes to serve as centers of commerce and culture. These cities became melting pots where Greeks, Macedonians, Egyptians, Persians, and others lived and worked together, spreading Greek language, art, and philosophy far and wide. This was the birth of the Hellenistic Age, a period where Greek culture permeated the East, profoundly influencing art, science, and society for generations to come. Alexander's ambition, however, seemed to have no end. After conquering Persia, he pushed his weary army even further east, into the unknown lands of India. Here, he faced some of his toughest challenges, fighting against powerful local kings and their formidable war elephants at the Battle of the Hydaspes. Despite winning another hard-fought victory, his men, exhausted and homesick after years of relentless campaigning, finally reached their limit. They mutinied, refusing to march further into the vast Indian subcontinent. A reluctant Alexander was forced to turn back. It was a rare moment where his will was thwarted, not by an enemy, but by the love and loyalty of his own men, who could simply go no further. The long and difficult journey back to Babylon took a heavy toll on his army, with many perishing in the harsh deserts of Jadrasha. Upon his return to Babylon, Alexander began making plans for the future, organizing his vast empire, planning new explorations into Arabia, and further integrating his diverse peoples. But he would never see these plans come to fruition. In 323 BC, after attending a banquet, Alexander fell gravely ill with a fever. For 10 days, the world held its breath as the unconquerable conqueror fought his final battle. He died at the young age of 32. The exact cause of his death remains one of history's great mysteries. Was it malaria, typhoid fever, or perhaps poison? We may never know for certain. On his deathbed, when asked who should inherit his vast empire, his answer was reportedly to the strongest. This ambiguous reply set the stage for decades of brutal civil war among his generals, the Diadochi, who ultimately carved up his empire into several Hellenistic kingdoms. Alexander the Great's life was like a brilliant, blazing meteor that streaked across the ancient sky. In just over a decade, he redrew the map of the world and set in motion a cultural transformation that would last for centuries. His legacy is immense. Militarily, his strategies and tactics are still studied in military academies today. Culturally, the Hellenistic world he created was a bridge between East and West, a conduit for ideas that would shape the Roman Empire and eventually Western civilization itself. He was a complex figure, brilliant, charismatic, and visionary, but also ruthless and driven by an insatiable hunger for glory. His story is a powerful reminder of how a single individual as ambition and vision can change the course of human history forever. He wasn't just Alexander the Great. He was Alexander the Legend. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you enjoyed this exploration of Alexander's incredible life, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next historical deep dive. What other historical figures fascinate you? Let me know in the comments below. Till next time, stay curious.